to break the country?
It could be they hate our country. I mean, they may hate our country. And we deal with real scum. I mean, like a guy like Adam Shifty Schiff. He's a sleazebag. And he's probably going to be a senator, if you can believe it, but I call him Watermelon Head. He has the... No, he's unattractive, both inside and out. That is... No, but this is a really bad guy. This is a dishonest guy. Not a dumb guy at all. He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen on a human being. He will never be a football player, I can tell you. But he's a smart guy, but he's just a sleazebag. You know, there's nothing else you can... I'll give you shit.
We all know that Donald Trump is constantly angry, aggrieved, and out of control. But if there's one thing that gets him upset the most, it is a discussion of his crowd size, or more specifically, his small crowd size. And that is exactly what VP Harris did, setting Donald Trump off to lose his mind over his tiny crowd size, and a clip that we are going to get into in which he just completely melts down and lashes out at VL Harris on really just a disturbing way. But before we get to that, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now, like I said, VP Harris, responding to Donald Trump's tiny crowd size, but she also responded to these scary comments he made last night about Liz Cheney, and a clip that we need to check out right here.
Trump's closing argument is very different. He pits Americans against one another. He spends full time having Americans point their fingers at one another, and he spends a considerable amount of time plotting his revenge on his political opponents. As of last night, just to add more, he has indicated that the person who would be in charge of health care for the American people is someone who has routinely promoted junk science and crazy conspiracy theories, who once expressed support for a national abortion ban, and who is the exact last person in America who should be setting health care policy for America's families and children. And then, even worse, he has increased his violent rhetoric, Donald Trump has, about political opponents, and in great detail, suggested rifles should be trained on former Representative Liz Cheney. This must be disqualifying. Anyone who wants to be president of the United States who uses that kind of violent rhetoric is clearly disqualified and unqualified to be president. Representative Cheney is a true patriot who has shown extraordinary courage in putting country above party. Trump is increasingly, however, someone who considers his political opponents the enemy, is permanently out for revenge, and is increasingly unstable and unhinged.
Now, of course, the focus of statement that VP Harris made right there was to address the disgraceful and scary remark Donald Trump made last night about Liz Cheney. But she also was talking about what he had to say about RFK Jr., because Donald Trump continues to talk about the way that RFK Jr. would be a part of his administration, and it should really scare us all. So before we get to Donald Trump's crowds, see his meltdown. Let's hear what he had to say.
Bobby, I love you looking at health. I want you to take care of the women of this country, the men of this country, and the children of this country. You don't have to worry about anybody else. But the one thing you got to do for me, Bobby, is leave what's under my feet. The oil and gas, you leave that to me, Bobby, because that's gonna...
I don't know who is comforted by the idea of RFK Jr. or Elon Musk being a part of Donald Trump's administration. It should be a scary thought to us all. And it's something that VP Harris continues to call out Donald Trump for, because of course it is important to talk about the danger of his Project 2025 agenda, not only for the policy that it would put forward, the terrible policy, but the people who it would empower, like in Elon Musk, like in RFK Jr. and VP Harris, continues to call out Donald Trump for that, and it's the reason why he is so upset with her in this clip right here.
Hillary Clinton, who's a smart woman, much smarter than Kamala, but doesn't lie as much. Hillary was a liar, a horrible scoundrel, but this one lies so much. And she's a low IQ individual. She doesn't even know she's lying, I'm telling you. This is not what you want for your president. That has nothing to do with me. This is not what you want. She's a very low IQ individual. She's dumb as a rock, and you can't have that. You can't have that. We love our country too much. You can't have it. We just went through 4 years of it. You can't have any more. A country can only take so much.
Trump continues to come back to this attack on VP Harris, saying that she has a low IQ. And although I find it just kind of repugnant for Donald Trump to make these personal attacks, clearly Kamala Harris doesn't care. Just roll right off her back. But who does care are soft Republicans and independent voters who find these personal attacks by Donald Trump just gross and off-putting. So Donald, please continue. Please continue to attack VP Harris. Go for it. You are only hurting yourself, and it's this type of spewing, angry rhetoric that has Donald Trump having smaller crowd sizes every day, something that VP Harris mocked him for last night.
You may have seen, I talked in Washington, D.C. the other day. You know, he likes to compare crowd sizes. I had 100,000 people there.
Now, especially after VP Harris' huge and historic speech in Washington, D.C. at the Ellipse, Donald Trump has really been set off about the discussion of crowd CUIs lately. And so he responded to what Harris said about his tiny little crowds with a really gross and angry attack on her in this clip right here.
Never been rallies like this. When that sleazebag said during the debate, she said, "Oh, your rallies aren't well attended and people leave." They don't leave, and they're really well intended. We can't get places big enough. And then I said, no, you know, the rallies are the biggest in history. We never have it, just like this is a part of a rally. We never had an empty seat and nobody leaves early. And you know what? If I saw people leaving, you know what I'd do? "Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make America great again. Goodbye, everybody," and everybody would be happy. Nobody would leave. But we don't have to do that. Nobody leaves. It's a love fest. It's never happened before. This has never happened before. He's a big fan.
He is melting down. He cannot handle himself calling the vice president a SLE bag for commenting on the very clear fact that your rallies are just getting smaller. People are less interested. They're leaving early. Sometimes they're leaving before the rallies even start, Donald. And of course, that drives him crazy. That leads him to show his insecurity, as he did in this clip right here.
This has never happened before. He's a big fan of Ronald Reagan, so am I. But if Ronald Reagan, let's say, went to New Mexico like I did today, we probably had 25,000 people standing in an airport early in the morning today. But we have massive crowds. Look, we had 107,000 people in New Jersey. We had 101,000 people in Butler just a few weeks ago, right? We had 114,000 people in California a month ago, right? 114,000. The owner said, the person that has the land, a nice guy, he said, "You get bigger crowds than these guys that play guitars." And I don't have a guitar. So this has been a love fest. But I said, and I meant it too, I said, you know, we've done this for 9 years, and it's sad. I never thought of it, actually. It'll never happen It'll never happen again. It's never.
I feel like every time that Trump talks about the size of a rally, it only gets bigger. First, it was 60,000 people, then it was 70. Now it's 170,000 people, and he's really just showing his insecurity because he sees folks leave his rallies. Just the other day, we saw Donald Trump in the middle of talking about how no one leaves his rallies. People started leaving from behind him. It was in the shot. It was absolutely hilarious. The irony was so perfect, and just losing voters at Donald Trump's rallies and losing the size of his crowd. It's not the only losing that Donald Trump does, and Tim Walz called him out for that right here.
So to those undecided folks, the only thing Donald Trump knows about working people and middle-class people is how to take advantage of them. That's his entire set of knowledge that he has. And he talks about this. He talks about manufacturing. The only thing he knows how to manufacture is bullshit, and he's continued to do it. And he's continued to do it. His presidency was an endless string of broken promises. He came, remember this, he came, I know the Congresswoman remembers this, said under his presidency, you won't lose a single plant. You won't lose a single manufacturing plant. And I said this, technically he did not lie. You lost 6 plants. Across the country, including right down the street in Warren, and that's one that he said you would not lose. Trump gave tax cuts to the very companies that shipped those jobs overseas. He encouraged automakers to move out of states like Michigan and move to anti-union states so they could save money and pay their workers less. He should probably have been able to figure this out. There's a reason that unions across Michigan, from the Teamsters to the laborers to the operating engineers to UAW, have endorsed Kamala Harris for president.
President Obama has been out on the campaign trail making this point, and I am glad Tim Walz is driving it home as well. Donald Trump inherited a booming economy. He did not make it. He did not contribute to it. What he contributed to was manufacturing job losses in America. There was no investment in infrastructure. There were no tax cuts for the working and middle class. No, we saw the top 1% in giant corporations alone benefit. Well, we beat the burden of Donald Trump. Big tax breaks for his friends. That is what the Trump economy was. It was serving everyone else but the people that Donald Trump promised to help, because all he effort does is lie. And that's why we should be so scary about the truths that Donald Trump is telling about those who he wants in his administration, like Tim Walz slammed him for right here.
Yesterday, Donald Trump said that he would put RFK Jr. in charge of women's health. Now, the other night, this might make you feel better, I guess, Donald Trump said that if you're a woman, he will be your protector. And then he added, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not, which is pretty much how he's lived his whole life on everything he's done. Well, we're seeing what he's done. Women are showing up at emergency rooms and being denied care. They're having miscarriages in parking lots. And you know what else they're going to do, though? Those women are going to show up. They're going to vote Tuesday, whether he likes it or not. Whether he likes it or not. So his rhetoric around this, we know where he's at. We know exactly what he's going to do. We know he will go further by closing down fertility clinics, things that are personal to so many of us. These are things that we shouldn't have to talk about in public because they're personal business, but women and families across the country are doing it. It's why my wife Gwen and I talked about it. We struggled for years to have a child. We used fertility treatments. We finally had our beautiful daughter, Hope. He's talking about taking that away. I'll be damned if anybody in elected office should tell you what type of family you should have, when you should have it, and how you should have it.
Once again, the thought of RFK Jr. or Elon Musk taking a machete to our federal government in service of their craziest conspiracies should be terrifying to us all. And that is exactly what would happen in a second Trump administration. Because as Donald Trump continues to lose it more, those around him will be empowered even more. That is what we'll see happening. Donald Trump will focus on his revenge, Elon Musk will focus on slashing Social Security and Medicare to pay for big tax cut for himself and other billionaires. That is their plan. We need to call it out. And it's what we're going to be talking about on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.